Hey guys, it's Adam. Today I wanted to go over some tips and tricks for one of the most popular and most difficult quizzes on Sporcle, countries of the world. My first tip is you're going to want to go through all the individual continent quizzes. Do Oceania, North America, etc. until you can get those perfect. Don't attempt the countries of the world quiz. Because even when you know every country, it's still a very difficult quiz because it's so much to remember, and the 15 minutes seems like a lot of time, but it really flies by. My next tip is to start on a difficult continent for you. For me, I like to start in Oceania because it's one of the ones where I'll always forget one or two, and I want to nail it down quick. That way I can move on, and then I go to North America, South America, and kind of just blend to Europe, Africa, and Asia. I always end with Asia because it's also difficult, but I don't want to get stuck on any countries. I like to flow. My next tip is kind of just to do things geographically. If you can learn where the countries are, so like, I'll do Canada, United States, Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Belize. I try to get them when they're really close or bordering each other, and then I move on to the next ones. Another tip is that one of the things that makes this so difficult is it's not just knowing the names of the countries, but knowing how to spell the names of the countries. And some of these, especially if you're not used to the spellings of, are going to be really hard to spell. So my trick that I use is I enunciate the names very weird. They're probably not enunciated that way or pronounced that way, but so like Luxembourg is a tough country to spell unless you enunciate it Luxembourg like I do, which helps you remember that it's O-U-G, not Berg as in B-E-R-G or something like that. And I do that with a lot of countries. My next tip for you is that over time playing this quiz, you're going to kind of learn where each name pops up. And since you can't see the country, like in the individual quizzes, the country will be highlighted in a color. This doesn't happen on this quiz. So you kind of have to learn, okay, there's, should be a name popped up in this area and kind of learn how tight, the names are compacted. So, for example, if I was missing Jamaica, then I would know because there'd be a big hole in the Gulf Coast. And I'd say, well, I need to go back and try to think about it. And then I'd be like, okay, yeah, it's Jamaica. I'm missing Jamaica. And the funny thing is that I even do it in this quiz. I miss one, but I move on because I couldn't think of it off the top of my head really quickly. But I kind of knew where it was because of the lack of crowdedness of the names in that area. Now here's another tip for you. When I am in Africa, there's a lot of Gambia, Zambia, Mali, Malawi. So if I hit Mali, I'll go to Malawali just to remember. Then I go back to my geographical and Mauritania. When I hit Mauritania, I always like to go to Mauritanias, which reminds me, oh yeah, there's 3 other islands, Comoros, Seychelles, and Madagascar. I nail all those down just so I don't forget them. My next tip for you, and this one's a big one, it'll help you kind of get in that 100%. When you're in Oceania, as I start in Oceania, I know I'll have 14 correct, and then I move on. I lump Iceland, North America, and South America, and after I've got that, I hit 50. And then in Europe, I add Russia and Turkey, which will be 96. Then when I get all of Africa, I know I should be at 150. And then I move on to finish in Asia. Now you'll notice, because I'm missing one, and this is one of the tips too, is I knew I was in Africa because of this, is that I move on at 149. Which kind of said to me, okay, I'm missing one in Africa. So right away what I did was I was like, everything looks full except for in one area to me, and It's not the gap between the Republic of the Congo and the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's in that lower left corner, and I was like, okay, I know it's down there. But I couldn't think of what it was, so I just moved on. Uh, my next tip is when I'm in Asia, I always start on the east coast of Asia, and I want to hit North and South Korea because I have a tendency to isolate those and kind of forget them. Plus, all the islands are one of the most difficult things you have to do on this quiz. So you want to get all the islands out of the way and then go back onto the continent and finish that up. Another tip, which I've kind of neglected to mention when we were in Africa, is to save you some time, which you're going to need every second on this quiz. Instead of spelling out Central African Republic, you can just spell CAR and it'll give it to you. Same with Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, and you get credit for that country. Now, my next tip that I use is the stands. I always like to get the 6 stands out of the way. That way you remember, okay, I got all those. And then I also lump in Georgia and Azerbaijan because they kind of remind me of that area, so I just get those out of the way, and then I go to the Middle East, and I like to finish in the Middle East down in that little peninsula, and probably my last country should be like Qatar. Like I always try to make it Qatar, or Qatar, as I say it, to help me spell it, Qatar, because that seems more logical in my mind on how to spell it. Now here I'm noticing, okay, I'm missing one. And I'm panicking because I've done this quiz twice before, missing just one, and it's not a hard country generally that I'm missing. It's just I went a little fast and neglected to put it on there, and you'll see I'm kind of stabbing at things. I'm like, okay, was it in the Middle East? No. And I'm like, okay, it's definitely in that little corner. So Guinea is down there. No. I'm like, that's it. Sierra Leone is what I'm missing. Well, there you go. I hope this helps you, but it is not by any means an all-inclusive list of how to do this quiz. So if you have any tips or tricks that you use, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear about it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me some questions. I'll be answering questions on, tips and tricks for this quiz. I appreciate you watching it, and I'll see you next time. Dang it.